Herbert Benjamin Edwardes on Akra, an essay on his account of the Greco-Bactrian ruins in Bannu. Bannu today is an essential part of Khyber-Pakhtunkhwa, deeply Pashtun, proudly Muslim and unmistakably Pakistani. But beneath its contemporary identity lies a history that reaches far beyond the arrival of Islam, or even the Pashtun tribes themselves. The clue lies in Akra, an archaeological site that whispers of Greeks, kings and empires long vanished. In the 6th chapter of his work, A Year in the Punjab, Herbert Benjamin Edwardes presents one of the most fascinating and evocative descriptions of these Greco-Bactrian ruins in the Bunnoo Valley. His account stands as a remarkable testament to the Victorian colonial encounter with the ancient world, blending military observation, antiquarian curiosity, and personal reflection. Edwardes approaches the ruins not merely as an archaeologist or historian, but as a soldier administrator who finds himself unexpectedly standing at the crossroads of civilizations, bridging the world of Alexander the Great and the expanding British Empire in India. The context of discovery. Edwardes introduces Akra within the broader narrative of his administrative and military campaign in Bannu. The ruins appear almost as an interlude, a moment of reflection amidst the pressing concerns of subduing rebellious tribes, establishing outposts, and collecting revenue. The year is 1848 and Edwardes is concluding his mission in Bannu, having successfully negotiated the submission of the Viziri tribes and overseen the construction of Fort Dalipgah. His departure from the valley provides the occasion for a detour to the ancient site, accompanied by his successor, Lieutenant Taylor, and General Cortlandt. This contextual positioning is significant. Edwardes presents the encounter with Akra as a pause in the relentless forward march of empire, a moment when the practical business of conquest gives way to contemplation of the deeper historical currents that have shaped this landscape. The ruins become a mirror in which the British imperial project might glimpse its own reflection. Physical description and topography. Edwards's description of Akra is characteristically precise and vivid. He locates the ruins in the southwest corner of the valley of Bannu, within a short distance of the left bank of the Gumbala, and about midway between the two towns of Kuki and Burut. The site consists of a cluster of high mounds, of different sizes and elevations, but undulating one into the other, and evidently parts of a long, ruined whole. These mounds, he observes, when examined, prove to be composed of fragments of burnt bricks and broken tiles, cemented and crushed together by the lapse of ages. Edwards's trained military eye discerns strategic features in the landscape. He notes the presence of a smaller mound on the opposite bank of the Lahora stream, which, to a military eye, looks like an outpost to command the water. This observation reveals the soldier's perspective that permeates his account. The ability to read ancient landscapes through the lens of modern military science. The description of the drainage tile discovered during his visit is particularly striking. The workman, digging for bricks to use in the construction of Fort Dalipgah, uncovered a large cylindrical clay draining tile about a foot long and 10 or 12 inches in circumference, with a neck at one end so as to fit into the next tile, exactly as is practiced at the present day among ourselves. The exclamation mark conveys Edwards's wonder at this continuity of engineering practice across 2 millennia. The archaeological evidence. Edwardes draws upon several sources of evidence to establish the Greco-Bactrian identity of the ruins. The most compelling is numismatic. During an earlier expedition in 1847, heavy rainfall had laid bare a very large quantity of copper coins, which soldiers collected and brought to him. He records that, on most of them, a few Greek and Bactrian letters were very plainly traceable. The raised figures on the coins, though worn, corresponded with specimens collected elsewhere in the Punjab, evidence of the widespread reach of Macedonian influence. The bricks themselves provide another form of evidence. The ruins are composed of fragments of burnt bricks and broken tiles that have been cemented and crushed together by the lapse of ages. Edwardes notes that these bricks are of a size much larger and squarer than are used in these degenerate days, and many bear carved edges, as if they had been for mouldings or cornices. The contrast between the quality of ancient workmanship and contemporary building practices is not lost on him. The Greek outline of the features on the coins, however cankered, cannot be mistaken, Edwardes asserts. They belong to the countrymen of Alexander, and the freedom of the designs and high relief to a period when art was in perfection. This aesthetic judgment reveals Edwardes's classical education and his ability to recognise the artistic traditions of the Hellenistic world. The name Akra and its significance. One of Edwardes's most intriguing speculations concerns the etymology of the name Akra itself. He suggests that the name may be only the time-battered ruin of Akros, a hill. This philological insight is offered with characteristic modesty. He merely hints, nothing more, at the possibility. Yet the connection is apt. Akra is, indeed, the only eminence on the unbroken plain of Bannu, and might well have been honoured by the conquerors with the distinguishing title of the hill. Edwardes's hesitation to press this argument too strongly reflects the methodological caution of a Victorian amateur antiquarian, aware that he is venturing beyond his area of expertise. He presents the possibility as speculation, not proof, inviting the reader to share in the pleasure of the conjecture without committing to its certainty. The material evidence, the drainage tile and the cothurnus. The drainage tile discovered at Akra provides Edwardes with a powerful illustration of the continuity between ancient and modern engineering. The tile, about a foot long and 10 or 12 inches in circumference, with a neck at one end so as to fit into the next tile, represents technology that was probably 2,000 years old, yet remains exactly as is practiced at the present day among ourselves. Even more striking is Edwardes's observation of the Bannucci peasant standing on the ruins of Akra with his feet encased in buskins exactly resembling the foot of the long Greek boot, cothurnus. He notes that the sole is of the same shape, the thongs over the instep are crossed in the same pattern, and the toes of the wearer are thrust through in the self-same manner as we see in any ancient statue. This is not merely archaeological curiosity, it is a moment of living history, where the past persists in the present in the most intimate and unexpected ways. Edwardes tempers this romantic observation with a wry acknowledgement of its limitations. When asked, "Who built this ancient city?" the peasant would reply, "The infidels." The word signifies both the gulf between the present inhabitants and the ancient builders, and the tendency of folk memory to collapse complex histories into simple categories. Indigenous interpretations and the infidels. Edwardes presents the local understanding of the ruins with a mixture of amusement and respect. The Hindus believe that the town of Burut was founded by the Burut of mythology, the brother of Ram and son of Raja Jusrut. The Greek inscriptions on the coins are interpreted as the currency of Sita and Rama, Siti Ram ke paise, or the halfpence of Siti and Ram. Edwardes finds this belief amusing, yet notes that the Hindus argue, with reference and reverence to the Greek, that it is not to be supposed that the brother of Ram would either talk or write common Hindi. The name Kafakot, the infidel's dwelling, applied to the fortress visible from Akra, reveals another layer of indigenous interpretation. Edwardes observes that infidel, in this sense, is almost synonymous with Greek, for when pressed about the builders, the Afghan peasant invariably shrugs his shoulders and says, "I fancy Alexander." This attribution of all ancient ruins to the Macedonian conqueror is, Edwardes suggests, nothing can be more just in spirit to the memory of that great man, though he does not commit to its historical accuracy. The call for systematic research. Edwardes uses the occasion of the Akra ruins to make a broader argument about the importance of systematic archaeological research in the Punjab. He laments that a great and liberal government like that of the East India Company does not depute someone or more of its scientific servants to conduct a regular and scientific search for Greek coins and ruins. He specifically mentions Captain Alexander Cunningham of the Bengal Engineers, whose attention and numismatic knowledge have already been deeply given to the inquiry. Major James Abbott and Lieutenant D. Robinson are also cited for their collections of coins in Huzzaru, and Major Lumsden for his discovery of temples in the Yusufzai country.